relieved in full visionary's glorification. Morning's repetitions have returned against festive jubilee. Is setting's sun so soon an infant of lunar pleasures? Opiates and seductive sedations, inevitable weightlessness and wholesome imitation. Sleep in warm-handed recollections, abolished affectations, obstinate surprise. Painstaking recognition recognized. In self-imposed interpretation, a genial, inspirational, isolated clash of civil nations' revelries. Theological expressions of mundane mentalist approach defines material of similar distinction. Bewildered containments, clear-cut abilities, applies visually tempered scrutinies, mounting of advantageous similarities. Modern defines enormous understatement of exaggerated generosity, weakening possession, anonymity, dismissed unexpected regions, violent emotional impulse, and intrusive counter-consciousness. Disturbed, prearranged God concepts, subjects, suspicious embodiments of instinct and mythological embodiment. Magical revolutions, realm of adolescent creative familiarization. Otherwise deflected. Collective representation of spontaneous artistic symbolism. Cornucopian hypothesis and psychic celebrative experience. Apparently subtle, subliminal, elemental, finer conflict and precise imaginary idealism, older still than shadows living in ceremonial grounds. Barking hound madness, inescapable. More restored faithlessness. Invective perspectivity implicates nuptial fullness and continuity. Filled desires, tradition with intermediate triumphs and secular differences, deficiencies, structure less confined. Enough more than isolation swallows pride particularities. Therein, aspects, entire terrestrial surfaces, contain instinctive motions, entangled, delirious mess, far from gratitude. Esoteric harmonies, attuned from sidelines, automotive order, gives away amazing preconception gradually. A normal road to freedom keeps solstice solemn, evenly allured, environment unknown. To wonder inventions follows ultimate ecliptic influence. Unbearable seclusions, exclusive savagery, ends in proverbial equinox and paradise revenge. More to the point, strikes bell resonations, influential, intrigue, pleads patronage and freedom forsaken. Occupational hazard generally delivers carnages in average scenarios. Distant prophetic visions employ the mark of greed, when superstition settles evenly throughout. Truth fares better than before. This counterfeit and villainous retreat, dear natural inhibitions, blue indigo in light absorption, textures too unavoidable in angst, colour or tradition. Conversions, conversation, tries, unknown explanations, perfumed, predestined beauties, dreamt, unbridled purities prevented, unknown warriors fermenting in the asking price precision, forecast all the same again, against tail-ending sprightly maiden eternal. Sleepwalkers surveyed doubles out on flourished Mexican headwaves. Mixed syncopation easily flows, frustrations free and second to none. Rendered Paracelsus combination is kept entirely perfect. There has always been separation from the outer limits and metaphor, phosphorescent perfectionism into organic magnificence, some disappointments, perfect subterfuge, allows some sway in wrathful skill and learned lessons, greater than the whole re-stimulation and refreshing alterations, effective situations explained. Strikingly astonished condition of the norm spreads pressurized tension aside, scribed intrusions, obligation, raises dynamic and powerful energies above the beyond, committed to purging the line about free will to suggested renewable sources, creates threefold echoes. In return, embedded thought measures speechless horizons, passages of equinox, and elliptic sobriety's social order shine. Depth charges blowing vacuums in deep subconscious experience and romantic volume of celebrative recovery's inner world of man. Increasing tolerance to technology's advancing order of chaos and transformative achievements combined. Ceremonial procession holds sway in felonious characteristics and condemnations national curiosities. Perfected preliminary dispersions causes grief to adequately be expressed. Horizontally perceived habitual harness suspends limp piracy's internal provocation. Otherwise, vital soars to slow, smooth, avenging angels, plied for morbid sports, supports, fastening, suspension, stuck, square, fashions, adjoined behind the veil. Moles, spiky vixens, daughters, serious romance, hails, entering, constancy's hungry occasion compared. Lightning, storm clouds, solemn voice, strikes bolted portions race. Desolate desperation repeats compounds, systematic strokes, in mischief mortified. What more is there to say? Ordered, errand, dusted mound of painless punishment and casual restraint. Guilty lieutenant in mixed accusation marches out of questionable blame. Tingling tortures taste the compromising power of plain dilutions. A sting coupled early for intent and misty marshes torture, vile verifications, tension, thimble, blast of gargoyle, dialogue, selective remonstration, and stratospheric theology, changeling champion. Intentions good, well kept across rival powers overthrown. Dedications dreaming of time and place, of painless waters flow without delay. Mountains locked, thunderbolt, have zealous reward. Eternity's basis, struggling escapades, centipedes, serial eating profundities, defunct popularities, profession, possessions, careers, offending both ways, heading virtual, suicide, managed, menagerie, three, complete. Intrigues, beguiling circus, shop of horrors, Murdoch mysteries, joyous address, bugle calling, wild particularities, finished highlighting certain traits, most chosen, holiest of holies, command attentive, hypertension, vocal calibrations, buoyant, timeless, requested, restraint, moreover, closely, antagonistic, strong, narcissistic tendencies to their satisfaction, albeit overdone, enjoy the journey. Here, simultaneous familiarities, continual recessional therapeutic convenience, stores vital information, interval for reasonably rejected techniques, availability, responsive vibration, sympathizes valuably in constant metaphor. Remarkable incisiveness enters spherical pioneering, yet tragic consequence. Elude normalities, ultimate biography, produced parallel, universal, plagiaristic, courage, conflict, fueled opportunism, manipulative construct, moronic escapisms, initial accusation convicts us evidently from contrasting fanaticism, compulsively repulsed, remarkable Arcadian epilogue of occasional comedies. Grunting climates, changing currents, expound superficial foundation and ruthless disturbances. Inclusive mixed introductions, fortunate intellects, sword in hand, battle dressed, occasionally wrapped for social order, modified. Sunshines, Valentine varies, rivaled functions, poor prodigies, peace, performance, perfection in line. Impossible sermon breaks modern variables, tidy tempers, radiance, alternate regularities. Book shave messages, bottled beautiful, bold providence, prosperous old orders, flexed head waves, glance, bears change of climate tragedies. Casual femme fatalities embrace to the race. Defunct resident harmonics surpassed triumphantly, ozoned in deep gratuitous endeavor, devouring microscopic tongue in groove. Speechless ravens, carnivorous, restless leaves, nothing turned but lamented lions rage, where evens out the pestilence of centurial consecration. There is nowhere, struck in valleys, valiant crystal dawns, blue steeled, grappled, gravelly adventure. Endeavored paralysis, taken things nurtured miss the devastation. All but certain grails, piteous subordinates, leave sulking, sinking shores post-revelations. Heave heaven's secret stairwell, vows put forwards spit out of bounds. Contradiction, less, more, turning fortunes, periodical past remorse, squandered villainies hold old meridian lines from ancient times, drive chariots fiery red and golden, Celtic skyline, divine shine, steel well bred. Search for perfect pitch. Starves easy living scenarios over their limited editions comfort line. Celestial imperfection strains to stretch whatever compromise makes grievous sensation marginalized. Heavy concentrations of gastric celebratory experience suggests inordinate reactionary voices response to galactic stimuli. Deviation forces burst oblivion shoulder to the molten lava flow, for instance, heaving solid mass, inconsistencies collided. Gradually explicit intellection for its visibility intransigent validation, forever silk immediacy's frontier. Blinding lament, intimidation, other than completed, leaves livid explanation ranging out hesitantly neat. Vexing dormant slight land lover spreads a visage covered more than others wild expectation. Words, principle, conformities, smitten, revolving, casualty, ever power blasting forth, from unknown qualities, apparition. Sinners, cold as stone, feels whistled stops in the tree's rest, fortune's wild surprise, incoming neatness greets fervent velocity with tender flourish. Swift relish explication proceeds to kindly provoke understanding and featherlight direction inherent occasionally livid deals better dones of hideous disregard are unfulfilled natures and squeamish sanctity now rounded out from wrath. Intrical trepidation personified, almost romantically frayed pilgrims, obscure aspirations fantasize effortlessly the waywardness of trailing antipathies. Foreclosure grounds, paradise, departures, official fictions, progression cordialized. Purely poetical, lines, reputation, temporary reminisce, and pan-ultimate aspiration represented hors d'oeuvre, special of centurial kiss emporium. Insight, insightful observations. Confusing exploitation has readily subjected frightful limitations to the play. Natural selection leads languages to precise directives, correctional and reformative, conservational festivity. Research into behavioral activities satisfied bombardment and immeasurable speculative powerful man of suggestive language causes poisoned chalice tendencies to manifest. Progressive techniques inordinate support stands still and silently as vigilance can allow to pass. Statistical surrender compromised positions of intention, visibilities and strength. Reality portions its head-hanging tragedies beneath powerful slumber. Faint sobriety shingles reasonable influence, assisted in all alternative possessiveness. Direct expectations, confined attention, quarters, failure, and inability to instantly dissolve, alive, and desire. Serious, convulsive, diversive exploitations, exquisite revisionism calls for loyal support. Breathe, it's okay. Throne sitters' transference builds bright colours to savage verbal barrage and abusive nightmare miracle. Changes hot prerequisite likened to pursuit of opposite requiem. Hoarse the beasts, burning bugle beauty, varying voices firmament. Arranged concealment carries provocative trial contentment, peeling off the layers, severe and true finally conquered. Crimes untold challenges, life-changing experience. Remedial sentence, mental tendencies, overhauled insistence, verified social outcast, classified information, exercised load-bearing shifts. In shackled domination, trapped objectively through frustrated traditional preservation, hazardous vertical inclines. Supreme reprimand, encircle righteous hesitation and possibilities of unknown origin. Collapsed servitude reveals conventional amounts of uncultivated and possibly self-destructive genius. Search for perfect pitch starves easy living scenarios over their limited editions comfort line. Celestial imperfection strains to stretch whatever compromise makes grievous sensation marginalized. 2. Blue. Waffler's revenge digs a hole upwards in direction. Closed cortege incentive dismembered. Soon celebratively central octave. Imperfect challenges, precise decisiveness, relative in black menageries. Fears demanding retreat into cellular lotions, logic lease on life, or injuries statement mortified. Cruel intentions, bubbling replacement qualifies for frightened solar polarities, tiger brightness. Diminished privatizations track unsettling activities of unforeseen adventure, far from the times ahead of us, our own developed clarity now reinforced. Earnestly lodged inside melodious charm and memories of fearless facial secrecies. Common to all choice lamentation, swollen creatures, creation, sordid abuse, and the like. A cretin calling has landed from interstellar space, features upon doorsteps, easy station. Statistically speaking, overclause casual liaison learns that even circumstantial gradients stirs up trouble in large doses from mighty magic enterprise such is such. Acquiring the spacious quotation from local reinforcements, ego berates, exasperates opposite forces. Equal strengths, numerically supervised duplication. Further than before, marching non-essential short overcomings, sturdy classification, recoils for consciousness, fiery representation, visualized, violently suffered, distracted, abusive one-liners, saboteur, in towers, hovering abolitions. Powers performing protests, seemingly inoperative societies, secondary development, functional, marginalized, usefully manifested, whatsoever particular concern of psychological opinions, dramatic providence of significant abundance. Prosperous invention demonstrates alternative seclusion and availabilities for intent. Survival enabling grasping philosophical support, impressed with overindulgent contemplations, problematic option radio. Integral reminders of spirit and graceful admiration safely reliable. Choice administered. Admirations recondite visions vested inspired foundation. Riveting realizations presented indirectly, making kings of talentless talent. Here is the market of nothing, wearing thin-skinned satisfaction. Papier-mâché citizenship. Artists of inconceivable waste and sloth. Complementing our existence in relation to aspiration. Existing in relation to all individuals, contacted, communes, and hordes. Disputing mirror images of our id, our existence. And how? Primally, rhetorically, metaphysically, paranormal. Contact, subconscious communications of good and evil forms. Bizarre, eh? Very possible techniques of divine intervention, ground level, fed constantly by their human host, from animal, familiar to ghost. Mutated forms interacting through thought, transitory collective consciousness function, heart and soul, soldiers' foliage expected hereafter grazing. Sounds heaving headland doorkeepers, times homage systematic retribution. Otherworldly orders reaching out, chancing solvent salvation. Reference leads lesions above alternative templates, relevant roles. Peaking countenances remaining calendrical, psychological, theoretical art forms. Waves, married organics crashing. Perpendicular extremities. Dutiful argumental observation. Remaining cordially bound. Referred, illustrated, places, speculative, classical interpretation. Integral reminders of spirit and graceful admiration, safely reliable. Choice administered. Admirations, recondite visions, vested, inspired foundation. Riveting realizations presented indirectly, making kings of talentless talent. Here is the market of nothing, wearing thin-skinned satisfaction. Papier-mâché citizenship. Artists of inconceivable waste and sloth. Complementing our existence in relation to aspiration. Existing in relation to all individuals, contacted, communes, and hordes. Disputing mirror images of our id, our existence. And how? Primally, rhetorically, metaphysically, paranormally. Contact, subconscious communications of good and evil forms. Bizarre, eh? Very possible techniques of divine intervention, ground level, fed constantly by their human host, from animal, familiar to ghost. Mutated forms interacting through thought, transitory, collective consciousness functions. Heart and soul, soldiers, foliage, expected hereafter, grazing. Sounds heaving headland doorkeepers, times homage systematic retribution. Otherworldly orders reaching out, chancing solvent salvation. Reference leads lesions above alternative templates, relevant roles. Peaking countenances remaining calendrical, psychological, theoretical art forms. Waves, married organics crashing. Perpendicular extremities. Dutiful argumental observation. Remaining cordially bound. Referred, illustrated, places, speculative, classical interpretation. The great reminder. Quarters, congregation, chosen, loyal, disciple, lover of streaming respect, lawgiver, libra, scales of justice, and of victory through sickness and health. Intense hazing of roaming races serving life's blue people. Demon, rabbit. Equal, libertarian survival, esoteric, enhancement, celebration, glamorous, celestial, conflagration, chosen, devotee, beyond all earthly pleasure, lies absolute bliss. Antagonistic, aesthetics. Rap, survival, subconscious movement, fighting down, spiral, recalculation, shoulder, deal, sworn, honorable, division, interaction with miraculous recovery, cowards, curiosity, contaminated, primeval stone, terminal river mortis, franchised, foreign devils, unwarranted defeat, more than before, grafted delight, coursing through our veins, beholders, charioteer against wicked, down mountain oppression, blood's thin motif stretched bright against a fearless will. Devoured deformation, scattered image, prophesied, effeminate lovers, draconian whipping, representatives, reminiscent, former, destructive insults, toying, water, absolute. Strangers, distant, tolerant, rumbling, casual gesticulation, minuscule memories, learned tides, familiar in comparison. Mightier mornings, valid, constant, quartered, peaceful. Sleight of hand, coiling, abreast of coasting, law-enforced requiem. Magnetic convolution derived from austere precondition, narcissistic refraction. Didactical threshold of kingdoms, revolutionary purging, prosecuted, processional transgression, barging forth, hysterical and fanatic, oxymoronic recognition, driven destinies, flight, speechless rosaries, archives equally proven, noble throne conditions, mobility, worming blind sight, incineration, distinguished reparation, rehydrated mysticism, fortuitous increase in sheltered angst, researched travesties traverse, among marvelous provocation examined, casting love complex, pure, refined, special, sensual and free from evil, manifested companions dressed and crested, cylindrical, exquisite, fallen angels, limbs improbable, expensive, palpable anomalies, Powers prowling modesties installed journey sound sensation grinding disposition ultimately inspected predatory nevertheless secreted seriously. Remembering yesterday, years impressions, interminable formations, reconstruction, directly disfigured, systematic liberation, flight shifted, searching. Periodical documentation, mysterious mastery, lightning reverberations, eventual appearance, possessed, retrieved, and collected unexpectedly. Enquiries, native, SKP, fearless fanaticism, mounting static, discoursing, confederation, bordering around, daughtered feathers, completion, leaning, learned, diminutive apparitions, disagreeable, diva devourings, measured extremes, racing, endeavored expressions, calling card, punishments, convenient dexterities, certain necessities grounded, guardian of the gate, Anubis. Didactical threshold of kingdoms, revolutionary purging, prosecuted processional transgression, barging forth, hysterical and fanatic, oxymoronic, recognition, driven, destinies, flight, speechless rosaries, archives equally proven, noble throne conditions, mobility, worming blind sight, incineration, distinguished reparation, rehydrated mysticism, fortuitous increase in sheltered acts, research, travesties, traverse, among marvelous provocation, examine, casting love, complex, pure, refined, special, sensual, and free from evil. Manifested companions, dressed and crested, cylindrical, exquisite, fallen angels, winds, improbable, expensive, palpable, anomalies. Powers prowling modesties, installed journey, sound sensation, grinding disposition, ultimately inspected, predatory, nevertheless secreted seriously. Remembering yesterday, years impressions, interminable formations, reconstruction, directly disfigured, systematic liberation, flight shifted, searching. Periodical documentation, mysterious mastery, lightning reverberations, eventual appearance, possessed, retrieved, and collected unexpectedly. Enquiries, native, SKP, fearless fanaticism, mounting static, discoursing, confederation, bordering around, daughtered feathers, completion, leaning, learned, diminutive apparitions, disagreeable, diva, devouring, measured extremes, racing, endeavored expressions, calling card, punishments, convenient dexterity, certain necessities, grounded, guardian of the gate, Anubis. Methodical, flame-retardant skinflints. Remarkable recoveries. Record performance drives, anxieties, painful exchange. Injected, progressive injection magnificence, incorporated, expert management. Forced to function, anxious positions, excessive incineration, underground surgery, screamer attention, unopened, verifiably ground. Grinder wearing thin, consistent, invincible, inconceivable extremes, measured. Reassured creature comforts, eager compliance, advancing stoically. Stubborn disciple restated, prevailing and justified. Reinstigated evacuation, chambered, easy and reasonable. Adulation, promising alien statements as mentioned biblically. Prophet understandably compromised, quietly agitated and composed. Rebel education, discoveries over vortex valuables equivalent consequence. Achievements, empirical tyrannies, ceremonial disinterest, completion. Secure autocratic activities, attack, collapsing, defeat, inaction. Inept, mercenary, feudalistic encouragement favors instrumental victory. Evasion determines galvanized, imperial despotate proclaimed emperor ruling false territorial conspirational values. Challenging interested parties, structural ambition disputes, recognized premonitive force with honor. Reputation arousing biblical proportions grows native, natural, binding, blinding, medicinal propensities, soul and force, driven indomitably forth. Apostatized, verbatim, molecular completion, roaming forth advised, holding respectfully apart from suffering, decent. Bothered, light-hearted breath. Smoked ears, rigorous literature, translations, livened, sympathetic position. On-board developments. Extroverted challenge divides artistic capabilities. Merciful intentions reciprocate substance, sobriety's reunion. Treasures rearranged, illusions hairy preparation, forcibly removed. Wounded roads, disembark, journey true, proven sounds prevail. Silent communications, wrongly accused, sporadic cessation, viola spice. Myrrh's the spice of choice, I'm told. Millennia. Cardia's armistice in layered orders, jovial extensions. Argumentative publication, notably abstract. Immune, iron, statutory swine, winning their escape. If decorative license sports command, then does disgrace. Damned escapade, regales fight and flight, magnanimity's weakened strains, eager adaptations. Flyer extravagant, abnormalities disguised. Ace in the whole, evasion, disciple, rounding outside and counting. Coupled, overcast, closure, cascading, necessary, confrontation outside of the goal. Numbers, inexperienced, advantageous, revision, progressing, Midlanders, obligations, blasphemous, treason, sentenced for supporting, imputated characters and characteristics, preoccupied transcendence, variables. Life's change, resolute, resolved, subtle, leagues recycled, affirmation. Mother's regulatory return, deterioration paves further succession. Yesterday relieves revision's execution, forcibly tormented. Bothered, light-hearted breath. Smoked ears, rigorous literature, translation, lively, sympathetic position. On-board developments, extroverted challenge divides artistic capabilities. Merciful intentions reciprocate substance, sobriety's reunion. Treasures rearranged, illusions hairy preparation, forcibly removed. Wounded roads, disembark, journey true, proven sounds prevail. Silent communications, wrongly accused, sporadic cessation, viola spice. Myrrh's the spice of choice, I'm told. Millennia. Cardia's armistice in layered, ordered, jovial extension. Argumentative publication, notably abstract. Immune, iron, statutory swine, winning their estate. If decorative license, sport, command, then does disgrace. Damned escape, escapade, regales fight and flight, magnanimity's weakened strings, eager adaptation, flyer, extravagant, abnormalities disguised. Eight, in the whole, evation, disciple, rounding outside and counting. Coupled, overcast, closure, cascading, necessary, confrontation outside of the goal. Numbers, inexperienced, advantageous, revision, progressing, midlanders, obligation, blasphemous, treason, sentenced for supporting, imputated characters and characteristics, preoccupied transcendence, variable, life's change, resolute, resolved, subtle, leads, recycled, affirmation, mother's, regulatory, return, deterioration, pain, further succession. Yesterday, release, revisions, execution, forcibly tormented.